All right. Probably talking to no one again, but I'm working on this little wizard game.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the historic Belcourt Theater in Nashville, Tennessee, it's time for Riff Track's live Carnival of Souls. And now, please welcome to the stage your riffers for the evening, Kevin Murphy, Michael J. Nelson, and Bill Corbett. Hello, Nashville! Hello, the world! Hello, the United States of America! The Republic for which it stands. Welcome to Rip Track's live Carnival of Souls. And I'd like to say just to start,
I really thank Major League Baseball for taking the night off just for us. It's a special favor. I'd also like to add Go Cubs, but that's Go Cubs. So, anyway, I'm Kevin Murphy. This is Mike Nelson, and who are you, and what have you done with Bill Corbett?
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, sir. What is your name?
I have all names and no names.
Ah, I see.
I am a man of mystery, as you can see.
Yes. What kind of cookies do you like?
I like all cookies and no.
I see where this is going. Yes. Where are you from? What?
I am from everywhere and nowhere.
Yes. All right. I thought so. And so, is the mask the cause of your pasty face and irritated complexion? There.
I do not know why you say this. I feel like I am a very handsome man. Maybe not as handsome as Bill Corbett, who I just met backstage. Wonderful, wonderful fellow. You're lucky to be working with him, you bastards.
I think of Corbett is kind of a jerk, actually.
Yeah, we've had the exact opposite experience. Mysterious man from everywhere and
Oh,
nowhere.
come on, guys, play with me a little. It's Bill Corbett, ladies and gentlemen.
Sorry to pull one over on you, everybody.
As long as we're on the subject, is the other guy a pretty decent comedian? Could he maybe?
He's about as funny. He's about as good as you saw. Very funny and yet not funny at all.
Well, thank you so much for coming. We have a great show tonight, a couple of treats, and of course our main feature, Carnival of Souls.
Yeah.
So,
But first, we have a little short for you. It is Halloween, and witches are known to flit about in the sky on Halloween. But what you don't know about witches is that they're not really primarily famous for being magic or for being evil. It's mostly that they're dirty.
yes,
Like
they're hygiene issue.
the more powerful the witch, the dirtier they are, man. So like Pigpen from Peanuts is a very powerful warlock.
Yes.
And Nick Nolte is he's their
Voldemort.
god,
He is their
basically.
god. Yeah.
So to demonstrate this point, we will have his first short, The Dirt Witch Cleans Up.
Let's roll the Dirt Witch cleans up.
The Dirt Witch.
Now, you just saw encyclopedia. For your younger viewers, an encyclopedia is like if someone printed out an alphabetized Wikipedia. So,
So it wasn't that much joy in growing.
No, not really. Oh God, whoever decided to freeze this shot needs to be on an FBI watch list.
I was finally released from my hellish suspended animation, and now I'm being crushed.
Tonight we're gonna make Aleister Crowley's famous Halloween chili, full flavors.
You just got a parking ticket. Relax.
Queen.
Turn it in reverse. Night will be day, and day will be night. Right will be
Yeah,
wrong.
I think we can figure out the rest. We'll be right. Got it.
But clean. I'll make them change before your sight.
Bernadette Peters did not react well to that New York Times review.
Self-hypnosis. I've never craved a cigarette more.
You hear that weird noise, Shrek?
Hey, it's Mumford and Son's dad.
And the Mumford brother, they don't talk about it.
Eat your damn organic Belgian Aldive.
So dirty. I don't see why I got to be the one to feed you.
Just because my bodily odor surpasses your own.
Things I can do. I'd rather keep doing cleaning up your mess.
We have a Gandalf scarecrow.
You shall not perish. The family history of witch persecution finally done caught up with me.
ain't. Guess he's working on John Mellencamp's house.
The Susan G. Komen Foundation started out as a bunch of pranksters.
Down, set, for 3, for 2, for 9.
Young Phil Sims was deeply hated by the other boy.
Dirty I am, and dirty you'll be, and then you'll see.
You're dirty, as I already said.
Is a very narrow focus for someone with power over reality itself.
Oh, why did we play football in that farmer's pigsty? Mumford!
She enjoys herself.
Oh, what you did.
The forces of will rain down upon you, Dark One.
I wasn't ever seen you before. You didn't have to do what you just did.
If only Hitler had been given the same lecture by a little girl.
Judy or a witch I never wanted to be.
This is the most Hufflepuff students end up. Well, kid, time die.
Maybe you could help me. Would you help me, please? Please. If that's all you want it to go.
And the child was delicious.
Oh, wow. It's going to be one hell of a night, folks. Oh no, now the predator will see us. Oh.
Good soundtrack.
I think no.
This scene has inspired 50 new Japanese game shows.
Kids, don't just go home with strangers, bathe them.
Courtesy.
Well, saving that dog bone for later.
Favorite dog. For more videos like this, try the entire.
This is how you do your ear.
He pulls out a straight razor and goes full Mr. Blonde on her. Here I am.
Now let's do your mouth.
Wasn't that a line of Deliverance?
Love you. Take a look in the mirror and you'll see. Is this really me?
A Maggie Gyllenhaal?
Turn me back!
Inside, she's weeping about how much bathwater the kid forced her to drink.
Still so much dirt between our butt cheeks. Well, there's an Irwitch.
Kevin, I hope you all learned a valuable lesson. Yeah. Kevin, that was a very inopportune time to talk about the dirt between your butt cheeks.
I know. I just
Up
had
here
to bring
to
it up.
make
It's
jokes.
very uncomfortable.
Wow. Thanks a bunch.
What was the purpose of that short? Did we ever figure that out?
Don't be a walking tower of filth.
Or children might kidnap you and clean you.
Right.
She didn't look dirty so much as full of sparkles and weird stuff. She
Yeah.
just looked like Magenta from the Rocky Horror Show.
Right. A lot of spirit gum.
Yeah. She was an actor.
Yeah. Well, folks, we have a holiday double feature show coming up. Please go see it on December 1st, Thursday. Right. The Rift Tricks Halloween double feature. It features first Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. And let's see if I can get through this. The Christmas Short Extravaganza with Weird Al Yankovic, who does a pork short with us. It's a lot of fun. Thursday, December 1st. For more information, go to fathomevents.com.
Yes, indeed.
You can click on it right now.
He does a pork short. He does a pork short.
Does a
How
pork
often
short.
do you hear that phrase in waking life?
Well, we're not going to get to our feature quite yet. We have another little order for you.
And a moose bouche.
Little popcorn ball for your bag. This is from one of our favorite releasing companies, the ACI Film Company, who we cannot figure out what they do. We figure there's a lot of dope over at their headquarters and a lot of grant money, and so they make these crazy shorts. And this is the continuation of a theme. This is mass. Yeah, so let's yeah. They're let's go
The other and each of of grass.
Mask of grass.
20 seconds in, and it's already madness.
Okay, kids, when you get shipwrecked, signal for help with a kite before meeting the wild pig. So,
Don't follow me, though, kids.
Grass grows everywhere in the world. On beautiful wet lawns, in empty lots. It even grows through little cracks in the sidewalk. It grows everywhere. And yet we rarely notice it.
start noticing grass,
How
Dad.
often do you really look at grass?
Yeah. Oh, beauty, how about you?
Many people see grass as a mere nuisance. But grass can be used to make many different interesting things. Like, for instance, masks.
A long, thin strip of
All
masks.
types of grass can be used to make masks. Short grass, tall grass. The more variety, the better.
And the quicker the mask on that kid, the better.
Stems together.
Oh, I welcome your hatred.
Grass stems are so strong that you can make a loop of
Goodbye, cruel world. Bill's comment pushed me over the edge.
grass
Grew up to be a beautiful swan.
look like many different things. Feathers, needles, and even things. No masking tape can hold many stems together temporarily.
Yeah, but you're going to want your mask to last many generations.
But to make the mask stronger, use glue.
Do not touch severe neurological damage. Yeah, blah, blah, blah.
And they said never amount to anything.
You can even braid it. Grass stems are stiff when they're dry, so soak them in water for a few minutes to make it easier to braid.
Better yet, a mixture of gasoline and drain cleaner.
Wire can also be used to tie sections of the mask. Fine, best, and easiest.
So trade in that baseball glove your dad got you for a spool of fine wood.
Place the parts on the original base and bind them together with tape or
Put most of the way around the area vulnerable.
Look out, ladies.
when it's all finished, it might be something like this.
It's searing into my soul, you guys.
You could try different types of material to hold the grass in place. This little girl is tying pipe cleaners together to form a face.
Used pipe cleaners by the looks of it.
Grass to decorate it.
Gee,
Caustic foam also makes a wonderful base. Stems that are strong enough
oh boy.
stuck anywhere in the foam. No need of glue or wire. Corrugated cardboard is also good. Just place the stems.
Save money and corrugate your own cardboard.
It's easy, whatever base you use. All you need is different types of grass and a little imagination.
And a friend with no
There are many
self-respect.
different types that you can use. And a variety of materials that are suitable for a base. People all over the world have made masks, little children as well as adults. In some countries, the masks may represent gods and goddesses.
Like Dumpstro, the god of crap.
The mask has been used since ancient times in plays.
He was an X-Man, wasn't he?
Masks represent different types of persons. Masks can even be made to look like animals. Masks change us, and sometimes it's fun to play at being someone or something else.
Something above all morality, beyond the puny laws of mankind.
The pipe cleaner mask is just about finished. A few last touches, and it's ready.
That smiley face should become a frown now. See, it's a ready. Hey. I'm homeless Martin Van Buren.
Oh, good. Back to the silent drudgery section. Too entertaining.
Egg crates can also be used.
For holding
By
eggs.
making little holes in a crate, the grass can be held upright.
That centerpiece tells us no chance of an open bar.
Egg crates will even bend when the top has been cut off, and pipe cleaners will hold them in place. This will form the base of what we call the Indian headdress.
Help, I'm problematic. I'll say.
All you need are a few materials and a little patience. When you've finished, you'll be amazed to see all the different ones together. Try it. It's fun.
This boy's been having fun alone in the wild, forgetting language and learning to love the taste of raw meat. My new master rises. Time for the blood harvest draws nigh.
Kid, I don't know how you're supposed to wear that, but you're definitely doing it wrong somehow.
They're already a more interesting team than Suicide Squad. Follow me, children, for today we ride on Toys R Us!
Masks of grass, kites. I don't understand.
I don't know, man. Yeah, me neither.
Oh, what's that? The sound of something circling a drain? I can't imagine a better way to end an ACI short.
That's Masks of Grass, folks.
Masks of grass. Because somehow that was an educational short. I know, right? Because one short telling kids how to mess around with grass was not enough.
That's right. Just a simple Zorro mask will do. Follow Bill Corbett's example. So we'll be on the lookout for
that
more.
really worked out well. Yeah,
We're on the lookout for more ACI shorts. I hope they get into something like, concrete or rebar at some point. Just
kids glued rebar to their face.
make custom headdresses. That's right. Well, folks, we have a bunch of digital stuff. If you go to riptracks.com/souls. You see how that works? Including 50% off on a rip of the movie Halloween, the John Carpenter film. And it works perfectly well with our RipTracks app. It syncs up beautifully. You can play it on any format, any way you want to, and just to start the movie, sync it up with the RipTracks app, and it works like magic. Boom! Magically, we start pestering you with our jokes.
Right. It's a dark magic. An annoying dark magic. Now to our feature presentation, Carnival of Souls.
Yes.
How many souls here tonight? Show of hands. Anybody here have a soul?
Yeah, good.
Just a couple of quick bits about this. This was directed by Mr. Herc Harvey. That is a real name. And he's in the Carnival of Souls as like the main cool dude, right? But his main job for over 30 years was directing short educational films for a little company called Centron in Kansas, where this movie begins. And then it moves to the more exciting plateau of Utah, right? It's like flying that into the fire.
Got it, spot, yes.
But Herc Harvey directed a little short we like to call, and he liked to call, Shake Hands with Danger. That was
One of our classes.
you will not You will not recognize his work at all in here. There's no twangy guitar, but there is a hell of a lot of organ music.
So we'll let you do an A/B comparison with Shake Hands of Danger and Carnival of Souls. But let's get on to it. Let's roll Carnival of Souls.
Carnival of Souls! Carnival of Souls! Check your foot, boy. Look what we got here. Want to drive, huh? Yeah, no, we'll take it.
Strange way of asking for some great coupon.
He has a straw hat. What choice do we have?
Racing at speeds up to 30 miles an hour or so. Very reasonable.
Grease lightning, your time and bells about to snap. Grease lightning. Grease lightning, you really are a piece of crap. Grease lightning. Grease lightning.
The road they were on was under construction. I'm retroactively verified.
It's like NASCAR, but with 50% less Budweiser burps.
Hey, baby, let's make a green car together.
This came on the radio. This is the only way to escape it. Can we trade insurance info? The Carnival of Souls this weekend here at Freeway Toyota. Also savings, I guess, but mostly souls.
Yes, Candace, you're the star of the movie, but we want our to look like the program for a third choir.
Log sticking out of the river. In Kansas, this pretty much counts as a national park. Lovely state.
Just wondered what a James Bond credit sequence would be like if you replaced all the sexy naked ladies with rotting driftwood.
This water's downriver from a factory pig farm, so it's really a carnival of E. coli. Carnival.
I'm gonna catch so many flies. What the hell?
I spend all day building the web and I'll catch your credits.
I'm a spider.
Harvey, a man whose parents cruelly named him after the sound of throwing up.
Harvey. Sure, as high as this river is right now, they may never find that car.
In fact, they've given up and are playing with a toy boat instead.
He just answered the question, do you still make love with your wife?
All right, now let's hear your story about how it happened.
Detective Lyndon B. Johnson on the scene.
Coming along, following the tracks, and they wanted to get around us, I guess, and they lost control.
Sure, you did proud of law.
Really inappropriate to make a number 2 here, mister.
Taking Bela Lugosi's advice to pull the string. Pull the string.
Well, no, still smoke at this moment as the day something happened.
Did we win the race?
Oh, let's get down there. Oh, I knew listening to Pat Boone would lead to this. It looks like my mom, the time she stayed up all night making Christmas cookies.
I forgot the circus world has men.
Are you all right? Let's get out.
Here, put this on. We better get you back to town. Are they communicating telepathically? It's not moving.
The other girls.
You're gonna see that, I guess.
And down to Nemo and Dory just going to town on the corpses.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
So peaceful on the river, fishing for bass and death cars. This feels like Rod Serling should step out and do a monologue.
Yeah, the only rod they could afford was Rod from Birdemic.
Yeah, drag racing. I think it's dangerous, so I gave a 50% discount. It's dark, but you can see solar panels in the Twilight Zone. Thank you, Rod.
Rod from Birdemic, special guest star.
No! Carving him a church organ. What a terrible transformer. Organ playing is like cooking Russian food. I'm not sure how to tell if you're great or terrible at it.
Hey. What's happening?
You know, just eating some crunch berries, playing with a coin, you know, man shit.
Yeah, I'm doing the opposite of man shit.
I am also doing the opposite. That's the joke. I love this game that you're developing. I don't think I've like said
It's
so,
genuinely cool.
but like it's really rad, and you've done a good job on it so far.
Thanks. I mean, I objectively know that it's cool. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, I think this is cool. No, it's fucking cool. The animations are funny as shit. The little puzzles are pretty good. You know, like you got to figure out. You know, get up there. You have to bring a block over. Just make it up.
Right.
You know? And that teaches you shit that you need later. You know what I mean? Some kind of like introducing the dynamics at the very beginning.
Mm-hmm. Right. So the tutorial is built into the gameplay experience. It doesn't
Right. And
express tutorial.
start out in the rain, naked, with one heart. The fucking goblins goofing on you. I mean, if you touch
And
anything,
yet, still a magnificent beard.
yeah, he just has that. Yeah, that's his life.
Gotta have the basics, you know.
Is in there. Yeah. So then he's got to find the key before getting down into the dungeon, which is pretty simple because there's only this little section. And it's up there. So you can just actually, I don't know if I can do it. Yeah. Or you can stack 2 stones and reach it easily. And that unlocks this. And there's the pink shoes, which lets you double jump. So he just has pink shoes on. He's
I
not
like how
quite.
you give him the shoes first. He's still naked.
He's still naked. He just has pink shoes.
Exactly the opposite of what every game would do. But it's perfect.
Yeah. but only for a moment, you know, like it's not. So now you have like, you can see you got shit in there, but you can't quite see what it is. And the key is up in this block, but now you get to smash these dudes. So you know these blocks can be used as weapons. You got to sort of figure out how to move all this shit. I'm not totally set on the like how that works out yet. Some of it comes down to weird coordination. But it gives you a sense of accomplishment when you actually get it, because it does take a little finagling.
Right. And there are multiple ways you could get through that puzzle as well.
Yeah, totally. And then you see this guy, he gives you shit too. Good grief. You're just supposed to guard the treasure, but you obviously need it more than me. You can take my blue bathrobe too. You just start a mushroom farm. So you can get some health, because you probably lost it in there. And then now you're wearing the blue robe at least. And then the next thing he'll get is staff. I gotta make it so you don't keep triggering this dialogue every time.
Yeah, there must be a setting where it's like trigger once.
No,
Like that.
I'd have to place him in a way that I didn't bump into him again. Would be the way to do that. Like place him so I don't accidentally run into him. Because it doesn't only trigger once. And then the difficulty slightly ramps up here because this guy will fuck you straight through a block. You gotta kind of stack 3. You got these bats fucking with you too. So you kind of have to take a weapon block up. Then there's the coordination with these sort of hinged ramps.
Yeah, that got significantly harder.
Yeah.
But now you've put that block in a place that like it covers you. So that's just playing smart as well. So it doesn't punish the player for playing smart, and I like that.
No, it sort of gives you multiple options on how to go through it. You could just raw dog it, parkour through, or you can make blocks to jump on. Take candle. I'm just fucking with you. You can have it. And then this gives you the ability to shoot fireballs. So he now has a little flame on his hand. A subtle character shift. Then you see these ghosts. And you learn to climb these cobwebs. This is actually the water substance, but I made it into cobwebs. So you can swim in the cobwebs pretty much. And that's tricky here because you have to keep going up and fire. The difficulty definitely ramps up a little bit, even though you have more power. Yeah, I'm assuming like 10-year-olds are playing this. So. Big spider. I need to fix that heart because it doesn't really do anything for you. I was thinking that's how you get more hearts up here in your health bar, would be by finding them. So you get this one fires at just. It's
Spider times 2, spider times 3.
Holy crap. All the goblins are identical and they refer to their brothers as ugly. Like they're all the handsome ones. And then the shit starts getting hairy down here. Green slimes, dripping slime. Losing health left and right. Fuck. When you're testing the game and you die, it boots you back to the edit screen instead of a checkpoint. So it's a little frustrating, but I just keep trying to play through it from the beginning to catch all the little weirdnesses, and then
right. Like if you find an issue you can't get past.
That's right.
Then okay, something's wrong.
Something's definitely wrong, or there's some better way to do it. Or I start getting annoyed by how easy something is, or you can feel you really need some health somewhere right here. Like right now, there should be a health over here on that left wall. So conceivably, you get up out of this problem, you could drop down and grab a little health. Because I'm down to 1, I'm not gonna. If I even touch any of this shit, I'm fucked. I like sort of the emergent problem solving though. It's like I didn't really have to design some of these things. Just becomes like, see what I mean? If I dropped down in there and there was a health bottle, it would be really nice.
Right.
Skip it if you don't need it. What's cool is those doors they're actually considered solid, but the hitboxes are on the pixels in the animation, not on the block. Fuck. I was so close.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't quite make it. Where's my guy? Yeah, so when they swing down, they drop you because they physically aren't there for a second. And you do all kinds of cool shit with that. You can make, one-way doors, laser beams, like anything can take advantage of that. So what did I want to fix?
Yeah, this is a cool little tool. I really like it.
It's killer. It's all right there. So, if I want an art asset, I just click art builder. Like I wanted a robe for him, so I just made a robe on a hanger. But
very nice.
It doesn't have to be anything crazy fancy. And you get this little preview. You get a real size preview in the tab. How it'll be in the game, and then this bigger one, adjust the frames per second or whatever. You got a background editor here, which lets you just make what's seen behind everything. And then the character builder is here. And you can test these guys, just to see how they look. So, yeah, it's pretty comprehensive. I mean, it's limited, but fuck.
Yeah, it's rad. I mean, there's so much with it.
Yeah, and especially the dialogue boxes and shit. Like you can go crazy. You could do nothing but text boxes in a game if you wanted.
Sure.
You know, just runs from NPC to NPC.
One of the things that I'm thinking about doing is doing a text adventure game in Nestmaker, because I've never seen one that's really good.
No.
You know, and now, I mean, we have like 30, 40 years of game design paradigms.
Right.
Since that system was out. So like,
right.
You can make a visual novel in a way that you wouldn't think to make it back in the 80s.
Right.
And there's no reason not to if the tool will allow you to do it.
Not to mention there was no crossover whatsoever between like the Zork kind of game world back then and the NES game world. I'd even posit that they didn't even fucking know about each other. Right? Like the
yeah,
people
there were. It's. I mean, sorry, I'm coughing a lot here because I have allergies.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, it's because those were like two different paradigms of interfaces, right?
Yeah, right.
You didn't have a keyboard on an Atari 2600, and you didn't have a joystick on an Apple II unless you were really rich, right? Or
yeah, no, you did not. Not to mention the game level on the Apple II was like Oregon Trail.
Right,
you know,
right.
Like,
it was not designed for graphics in that way. It was not
designed
for gameplay in that way. Whereas the other systems were designed only for that.
Yes.
So it's two totally different hardware aesthetics.
Yes.
Which leads to two totally different interfaces, which leads to two totally different types of games.
Yes. I'm trying to kind of reference everything in this one. It's, of course, it just has fucking feature creep if you do that, but I want the gags to be like that. So if you played Planetfall or Starship Titanic or
right.
Yeah. Planetfall was the first one for me. I went nuts with that. And then
I played Zork on my uncle's Commodore 64 in Potnetz. They had a trailer in Potnetz, and I would go visit them sometimes. And I would spend all fucking weekend just playing on the computer.
Yeah.
And they would just be like, "Are you sure you don't want to like go to the beach or like, I don't know, do literally anything?"
No.
I was like, "Nope.
No.
Just work."
Yeah.
That's it. That's my jam.
They didn't understand this is the hottest shit that's ever existed. Like,
and it was at the time. Right.
Yeah. I am on the fucking frontier of what this whole thing is. The promise is so great.
Right. You know, and now it's everywhere. Now that is
right.
The world.
We were right. That's the thing. We were told, like, no one would have bet.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Would have placed their money on video games back then. I try to explain this to like the kids in the fucking Discord channel. Like, you don't understand. I feel like an old man, but it's like no one would have bet on video games.
Right. It was just this throwaway. It's the same thing with comic books, right? Like,
right.
Imagine going back to like 1983 and being like, yeah, everything's superheroes now. In 2021, it's superheroes as far as the eye can see. You can't, like, there's no On Golden Ponds.
No.
There's no French connections. It's all fucking Spider-Mans. Yep. They'd smack you. They'd think you were insane, put you in a fucking home.
Yep. They wouldn't believe you. You're fucking full of shit. You're the dumbest person to come along with the dumbest idea. if you were to say that.
Hey,
And
hey, I
what-
just came back from the future. You know pecan?
Oh, yo, you're fine, but your kids, Marty, your kids.
Oh, it's that. Oh God, it's come full circle. No, it's actually the opposite. It's like, no, your kids are great. You're an asshole.
Yeah, pretty much.
Kids are doing okay. It's you that needs to change, Marty.
I don't know if you saw it. It actually doesn't show unless I go there, but he starts on a trigger. Like the block under him is the block that triggers the rainfall.
Huh.
So as soon as he lands on the ground, it starts raining.
Oh, that's a neat little detail. I like that.
Right. Yeah, it's a small little thing, but then he can sort of get that opening message. Yeah, it's just full of little. I mean, you have to be creative to figure out how to do it. To get the effect you want. It's story driven, and
Yes.
I wouldn't have that rainfall in the little sci-fi game.
The little details that you put in here are really great too. Like a little bit before this, you could see underground, and there was a skull.
Yeah,
and the skull is the size of him.
Yeah, they're giant.
So what does
There's
this
a
imply?
There's a
Right?
race of rib cages and like femurs and
And a giant man-sized skull. Like that's
yeah.
the little tiny like lore that implies is great.
Yeah, you fill in the blanks, and it's just like, oh god, he is a tiny wizard. He's of a tiny little race that came after these giants. And he's a fucking pathetic wizard. He has no powers at this point.
What even makes you a wizard if you don't have magic?
Right. It's just you kind of look like
He's a wizard in name only. A wino.
even the "Are you a wizard" is an internet joke.
Right.
It's,
Also, no, you're not. Not yet.
no. Whoa, the flies escaped. Normally they're trapped over on the other side of that. That must be on some kind of random generator, how the flies. Because that's just a bad guy that can fly in the shape of 3 little flies. They only have 1 health, so they're super easy to beat.
I'm gonna step away for a second and refill my liquids.
Yeah. This is tedious. I mean, it's not. I just do it again and again, but you get that.
Okay, I am here.
Yeah, another thing is I try to color code it so that there's a consistency to the colors. Like if you see gray, it's structural.
Right. That's really
It's
smart.
part of the castle. If it's wood, or if it's brown, it's one of these platforms, or it's wood. You know, just so on the most simple level, like even the background is all shades of purple.
Right, yeah. That's smart game design. It's extremely smart, especially for an 8-bit game like this, because that's what ends up happening anyway in the classic systems, just because that's how the palettes are limited. You can only have like a certain number of colors per sprite, so you end up making these like very sort of iconic graphic structures simply because that's the hardware limitation. So that ends up being the genre convention. By the way, I teach this shit in class. Like I just like straight up use video games as an example of genre conventions.
Smart.
Stuff like this. Like my very first class I taught, I actually brought in a physical Nintendo and hooked it into the projector and like made them play like Tetris 2 and Super Dodgeball and shit.
I think that's a great path to understanding, man.
Yeah, it worked out great. It was a lot of fun.
I've had conversations recently with like the lady that runs Cecil Solidarity, which, you know, here in redneck Cecil County, there's like a black lady that runs a group that's like fuck the police called Cecil Solidarity. And she's fucking amazing. She's super smart and cool and all that. And I talked to her about politics and, you know, like how do you push the KKK out of this place? You know, and she's sort of at a loss. And I'm like, okay, do you ever play World of Warcraft? You know?
Yeah.
Like, there's such a thing as tactics, and there's such a thing as people taking a role and keeping that role and excelling at it.
Right.
And
you got your tanks, you got your DPS, you got your
that's what
healer.
I said. I went into the whole thing. I spent
kite
like
the enemy, kite them to a different position.
Man.
Right.
Totally. Yeah. And I explained to her, I was like, look, I am a tank. I am a human tank, especially in Cecil County. Say anything to me, it won't fuck with me. Throw anything at me, I'm fucking clean. Right? I'm not vulnerable in the same way that like a gay person would be, or a black person, or, you know, I look just like these motherfuckers.
Right.
And I'm me too. Like I'm built like me. I thrive on that shit that freaks other people out. I love it. You know, I was like, you guys, you're DPS, and your friend over there, she's a healer. You know, and using those metaphors to get across
real
world shit, you know, it really helps, I think. So, and yeah, there's artistic principles at work with all this stuff too. Like, you know, the color of his flesh isn't used anywhere else.
Right.
That's never going to be anywhere else in this game, and that's really contrasted against that purple and the gray
and the blue of his robe.
And the blue of his robe too. Yeah, that doesn't get used anywhere else. Fuck. I'm playing on the iPad, so it's like a touchscreen control system.
Oh my god. That must be like 10 times harder.
It's a little hard, yeah. I've kind of gotten used to it. There's a directional pad, there's a D-pad on the left, and then an A and B button on the right.
I've got a NES emulator on my Moto, and it's similar. It's got a virtual controller like that.
It's not bad. There's a few things I really want to get on the line with the people that make it, because there's a few things like, okay, there's A and B button. right? And then you get into this dialog box and it just becomes one next button, but it moves to a new position. So your finger was on the A button to talk to him, and then you go to get through the dialogue, and you have to shift your finger over to a new position that didn't work a second ago. That was between those two buttons, and it's just a small thing, but it's gameplay. It's how it feels when you play. So
I find that in an interface like this, I can't even play games like this anymore. Like the virtual D-pad interface just does not, for some reason, work for me, and I cannot interface with games on a touchpad in this way. And so I end up playing like Sudoku and Solitaire and a bunch of stuff like this. You know, doesn't matter how long it takes. It's not time critical.
I generally don't play games on the iPad. It's just not
right.
And this is a creative tool, so I decided it was okay to download and use, but I just don't put games on this. I think it will work with a Bluetooth controller, and a lot of people have that for their iPhone or their iPad. They've got this real gamepad that just works via Bluetooth. I think you can play with that. I think I saw the guy that owns the company does featured Fridays, like where he finds the games that he likes the best and plays through them on live YouTube.
Yeah, I've seen those gamepad adapters for like phones and stuff.
Yeah.
But then Bluetooth is another problem as well, because that's latency.
Slight lag, very slight, but yeah.
So if you're playing a classic game on an emulated system, now all of a sudden you've got this situation where it's like, oh, now I can't play this the way I did. I have to compensate in a weird way.
Yes. Which, you know, the one thing you can say for all those hard-coded games where they were fucking airtight. Like, there was no lag whatsoever on any level ever. Right? Like, there's not even an OS on that system. There's nothing to lag. It's fucking machine.
No, right. The game itself is the operating system.
Yeah, right.
Like literally, that's how it works.
Right.
It's in machine code. It's in I think it's like 6502 is the processor for the NES and a lot of other machines.
Yes.
I know that's the one for I think the Commodore 64 as well. And you're literally coding in machine code. You're not coding in a higher level language. There's no like layer of, okay, here's your computer, here's your operating system, here's your higher level language, here's your game. No, it's here's your computer, here's your game.
Yeah.
You skip like 3 steps.
We forget that the OS is a layer. Or multiple layers, honestly. Many, but we take it for granted because shit's so fast. And honestly, shit is fast. I am talking to you through Zoom, streaming live to YouTube, and playing this on a fucking tablet. So
correct.
And it's also very responsive. You know, it really does. I can jump exactly where I want to and miss. You know, I can get skilled at it. There's the whole get good element of playing this too. Like, well, fuck. Get good at it. Like, no, it doesn't feel exactly like any other game system,
but the opposite is also true, right? The reason all this is so fast is because it's like putting a fucking jet engine on a mule.
Yes, because you're only pushing 6 square pixels.
Yeah, like there's something to be said for the overkill of it.
Yeah. And you know, I can make it through. I can get the dexterity to get through the game. I got through it twice yesterday. So that's saying something.
Koopa was doing his like 24-hour live stream yesterday,
How'd that go?
and he has this. Well, I mean, it's what it is. Every year, it's fine. It was a little less dynamic this year than other years. We didn't really do anything like super special, but he got this new video card before it started. Weird shit going on. Like, video cards are super expensive, and it's hard to get video cards because
Bitcoin.
fucking
Yeah.
like crypto bullshit. And so, like, literally, the thing video cards are made for and meant for is now not the primary use, and it's hard for people to like get them. Anyway, point is, that's kind of a tangent. I didn't want to get off on that. The point is, he's like talking about how this video card is clocking at something like 250 frames per second, and I'm like, Steve, the universe doesn't have that frame rate. Like you yourself are not doing 250 frames per second as a human being. Like, but at some point, this is just like overkill.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need that. You just
The
don't.
human mind can't perceive that.
No,
In
like you can't tell the difference. I mean, like, I got into this with audio. Like, you know, past a certain point, it's like you don't need like 96K, 24-bit or 48-bit or whatever audio. Like your ear literally can't discern the difference.
No. I mean, all the stuff that I've recorded recently is using a microphone on an iPad and GarageBand. And it fucking sounds, I don't know, it sounds like
Fine. Fine.
sounds fine. You can hear every single note. Right? It's all,
Yep.
no? It's kind of like, what else do you really, beyond that, it's your talent. I mean, it's the old thing you say.
Right.
There's no talent, but you know, if you want a different effect, well, hold the iPad a foot further away from your face and sing it that way and see. Try a bunch of shit till you get what you want.
Right. And I get wanting to have a clean signal. I get wanting to have like, okay, I want this to be 3 times
Look
what
how
I
quick-
actually need because I'm gonna put 3 times the amount of processing on it or whatever after the fact, and I need that headroom. Okay, fine. But again, there's a point where it's like the end product here is Twitch, Steve.
Yeah.
It's somebody watching you in a fucking browser. Like, how good does that need to be? Right? I'm only ever gonna have 30 frames per second. Like, you know.
Yeah.
At some point, it's like this, like almost pseudo-capitalist mindset of I gotta get as much as possible,
Yes.
right? And that's very weird to me.
Well, it becomes a little bit of bragging rights involved in it.
Yeah, sure.
You know, there's that whole, it's just geeking out. There's certainly an element, I think, of, see, this, by the time you get to Cure in this game, you should have the staff and a new power and like almost be able to fly when you enter this last run. Because this shit's getting insane here.
Yes.
And it's a bullet hell experience. You know?
Yes.
It's evolved. Oh no. Yeah, fuck. And if you accidentally pick up one of these blocks, you'll fuck up the platform.
Right.
And then you gotta build sort of a house for yourself to guard. Shit, fuck. I made it though. Oh,
That was pretty
all
wild.
right. Yeah.
I could barely hear you talking over all the fucking bullets and shit.
Yeah. You know when you're laughing by the end, it's a good experience.
Right. When
Oh,
when you're not even mad that you died.
No, it's just like,
It's
of
just
course
so
I died.
ridiculous.
It's so ridiculous. Of course I died. Yeah, I haven't honed down that last section yet. I don't know if he's gonna fly. That might be like for the next game or something. Like really let him grow further that direction. Because that's a little OP. That's a little bit just maybe one section at the end where like he leaves that and then he's just out in this open space down here at the bottom and be able to fly out.
I don't know. I think flying's fine. I like people talk about making something too overpowered, but what basically happens is it just changes the dynamic of the game and it becomes a different game. Like when I was a teenager, I had a copy of Zelda 2, and I had a Game Genie, and basically I was messing around with like the Game Genie codes, and I discovered a code that would let me fly.
Oh,
so basically what happened is like I just adjust, like there's a higher jump code, so like jump higher, and I basically adjusted that until I guess the number was just like 0 or something, and you just stay up at the top of the roof the whole time, so you just basically like levitate and fly, and that made it a very different game. It didn't necessarily make it easier, but it made it weird in a way. That like you had to play in a very different manner. For example, like if you were in an outdoor place, you would just like go up and up and up and up, right? And eventually what happens is like you wrap around and you hit the bottom.
Right.
So you're essentially under the screen, and that's the roof of the outside world. So if there's like a fire pit or water or whatever, and you hit that from the other side, you die.
Yeah.
Right? So you can't fly over everything. You have to like come down and then jump over that.
Yeah.
So it just made this like really weird new experience for it's a great game and I love it, but like that's my preferred way to play that game now, because it just makes it into this whole other bizarre experience.
Right.
Like, okay, what if Link can just fly from the beginning? Okay, now what? Like now it's still a very challenging game, but it's challenging for a different reason. So I guess my point is like, don't be afraid of that. Like it'll just change the dynamic of the game in a way that the players might think is cool.
When I started this, what I wanted to do was basically what happens in World of Warcraft from level 1 to 80 in microcosm. I wanted you to start from nothing to being a god at the end, like a wizard. You know what I mean? Fully achieve that status and then pace it out throughout, so you're incrementally getting more health, more powers, the classic build-up, but all within this sort of little toy box dungeon or world, like a 10-minute adventure is what it's supposed to be. You should be able to get through this in 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes.
That's always my problem with tabletop games, is like the leveling from like 1 to 20 takes like 5 years of gameplay.
Yeah.
You just have to be committed to a group. And if anything happens at all, you're screwed, and that's it. That's the end of the game, and you stopped at level 8 or wherever. That's what happened with my last guy. I had an awesome fucking group for 2 years that I loved playing with. Great DM, great players. And then 2 of the players who were married in real life got divorced in real life.
Yeah.
And that was just the end of that. Like, what are you going to do, right? You can't do anything about that. And so, that's, so I developed this idea that I call logarithmic leveling, where I map, I made like this table that maps actual levels to something called logarithmic levels. And so say you just want to have 3 levels, like you just got a summer to play with these people, right?
Yeah.
You know how much time you got, 3 months. Say, okay, that's enough time for like 3 or 4 levels.
a pretty big commitment anyway. Like if you were to tell someone you want to endeavor on a 3 months project, it's like, well, let me check my schedule. Like, it's a lot.
But the idea is, sorry, you level up logarithmically so that you have only 4 levels that you're leveling up, but you get the full level 20 experience.
Yeah.
Right? So say you have like 5 levels of time that you are pretty sure you can manage with this group.
Yeah.
So level 1 is level 1, level 2 is level 3, level 3 is level 7.
Yeah.
Level 4 is level 13, and level 5 is level 20. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so you get all of the previous powers of all those other levels too.
Okay, yeah.
So it has that same sort of
Feel it. You
power
feel
curve.
it when you level. It's
Yes.
it's like boom.
Right. And now
Yeah.
we're in a different space, and you get that whole experience in a much shorter time because you don't have to make that massive time commitment of like half a decade of play. Of course, I dropped this on a Pathfinder group, and everyone fucking hated it.
Fucking
It's too hard. Blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay,
No.
yeah, this is how I know it's a good idea because
Yeah.
all the grognards hate it.
Yeah, for sure. I've just decided, man, to follow all of my own instincts and all of my own knowledge.
Yes.
I'm the Biggie Smalls of game design. I'm fucking listening to anyone else or what I'll listen to you because you understand storytelling and you appreciate the subtleties of shit. Like I've got everything from playwriting and comedy to art to puzzle design. You know what I mean? Like all of these different skills that I've been working on forever can come together. And I have also that philosophy of every frame a painting. You know, like that idea. There's a website called Every Frame a Painting that like appreciates movies on the frame by frame level. Like,
yeah, and I brought that up to people since you mentioned that to me years ago, and I brought that up. Like, you can tell a good film by just hitting pause at a random moment, and if that would be a painting you hang on your wall,
that's right.
You're good, right?
That's right. We have now eliminated all Michael Bay movies from the. You know what I mean? Like
Michael Bay. Michael Bay is basically the Jackson Pollock of movies.
Yes,
when thought of that way.
Yes. Fuck him. Fuck his movies. I really enjoy them. I totally enjoy them.
Oh, he's great. He's got his own
yeah.
thing, but they're a different type of experience. They're not.
They're a big.
I wouldn't even call them films.
Yep. Nope. It's a Cheetos preparados is what they are.
Yeah.
But you know, like all that shit comes together, and you see it in masterfully made games. You see all that stuff coming together. It's not like it's a new thing. That's been happening since.
Oh, sure, but but like they're drawing from a bunch of different disciplines. That's the problem with a lot of game designers is that they are like, man, I can't. I probably told you this story before, but I can't say this enough. Like when I started in computer science, we had like a class of 30 people in coding and problem solving, which you do 2 semesters of that before they even start you on languages to get the conceptual shit figured out and the methods and so forth. And like almost to a man, and I do mean a man because there was like maybe 1 girl in that class,
right?
Because it's a fucking boys club, and that's a whole other story. But anyway, like everyone, like we go around the room and they'd be like, I got this great idea. I love video games, and I got this great idea for a video game, and I know I could just make $1 million if I could code it and blah 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 blah. And like all of them.
I know, dude.
And every one of those guys dropped out in 3 weeks.
Yep.
Every single one. Every single fucking one.
And you know what? My heart goes out because I've been in that club. I need a particular toolkit to do what I do well. Do you know what I mean? Like, like in order, I need something exactly like this to hit my flow state.
Right.
Right. This has this.
But also, I mean, like you actually have good ideas for games, and I'm
Right.
doubtful
Oh,
they
there's
actually
that.
did.
Yeah, there's that. But there's a point where it's like you have to, like, even Unity is too crazy for me.
Sure. Oh God, yeah. Shit.
It's fucking nuts, man. Like, it's not.
Dude, don't get me started about like IMView and trying to make assets for that to put in the catalog.
Right.
It is just a nightmare. I can barely like steal other people's free 3D shit
Yes.
and convert it to a format that IMView uses and skin it in a way that it doesn't look totally like ass garbage.
Yes.
Barely. And that's me,
Yes.
who's taken like fucking 3 years of classes for this shit.
Yeah. And you've been with me the whole ride. I've always been into this shit since day one. I'm always like thinking about it, like trying to make these different engines do something that works for me. It's always been a challenge. Power Game Factory was great, but it ran like shit. Like, it was so slow. Like, it didn't give you that console or that snappy gameplay, which without that, platformers are garbage.
Yep.
So it didn't even matter how good you made it. It wasn't good. It wasn't going to be good. And that was always frustrating. It's like, yeah, you can kind of put something together, but not really.
But that's just one level. I mean, if you gave this tool to one of those guys that I was talking about from that class, it wouldn't
Still wouldn't
be
make any good. No.
Right, yeah. It would be like just Super Mario again or Sonic again or whatever. Right?
They're the equivalent of the kid that hears the Ramones and goes, I can make an album.
Right, exactly. And it's because there's a multidisciplinary nature to this. There's a you have to know story. You have to know narrative. You have to know all kinds of shit, right? Like, you got to know all kinds of shit.
Pacing is huge. Like action and rests. Musical principles.
Right. Color palettes alone are a thing that can just fucking ruin a game, right? If you don't do it right.
But everything's clear here, right? Like,
sure. Oh yeah.
You can tell these are rats, even though they're fucking 6 pixels.
Well, you paint is why.
Yeah.
Right. That's all part of what I'm talking about. And on a different level, a different note, I rail about this in academia all the time. Like, the whole notion of disciplinarianism is just so bonkers and stupid to me.
Yep.
Like, the whole notion that like creative writing is a separate discipline from literature.
Wrong. All related.
It's just like, no, like, people who study how stories are made should also know how to make them.
Yes.
Right?
Okay, here's a flaw. The ground ends and I can see the sky back there.
Yeah, that's something that needs to be.
You know what I mean? Like, you'd be busy playing and okay, as much as it hurts, I'm gonna just go and fix it because it's like,
right,
you so easily forget that shit.
Yes. Yeah, you just gotta like fill in some more dirt there.
Yeah. Which then, reminds me I probably need some dirt varieties. So then I make, another kind of dirt that, subtly changes it. I don't know. And that's what this is. Like, I've got this sort of like variant. But yeah, it's kind of painful to do that, but man, I think it's a great way to build a game. It's almost like a brute force attack. You just keep playing it again and again.
Right. Yeah, one of my favorite games now, in fact, I would say possibly my favorite game of all time, is Fallout 4.
Yeah, you were telling me.
The reason is because it's clearly made by people who understand narrative structure, who understand how to build a world that looks, you know, solid and has
Chains of events led up to it looking like that.
yeah, right, et cetera, right? And so you've got a game now that it's not just good because like, oh, I mean, it's good on the game mechanic level. It's good on the level of I really enjoy doing settlements. I enjoy a lot of these characters. I enjoy the stories, etc. I enjoy the mechanics themselves, and I can go on and on. But also, like, it's clear that that was part of a larger whole, and that people were aware.
Yes.
That it was part of a larger whole when they made it.
Yes, totally. And there's a mythos to it too. Like those games have been around for a while, so that like they have in-house, they have layers of stuff to draw from, in jokes for people that have been playing for 20 years.
Right.
You know, which when you just hit it at Fallout 4, it seems like it's insanely creative because
yes,
it seems like it was all come up with at once. You know, when in fact this guy's name is a tie back to Fallout 1 or you know whatever.
There's a character in Fallout 4 who's in Fallout 3 as well, which happened like 20 years earlier, and he's like a little kid in Fallout 3, and now he's an adult and he's a companion that you can get. And so
we missed our calling by not going and working for all these companies.
Man, I'm glad we did. Honestly, like
me too.
Seeing that like the bullshit that's happening now in
you
like,
saw the stuff with Blizzard, right? The sexual
shit. Yeah, that's just the latest. I mean, like I didn't play Guild Wars for a while because NCSoft was in some bullshit like that.
Yeah.
It's just rampant. It's a fucking culture. That's why one of the major reasons I got out of computer science, because it was like, okay, so like my first like 3 years I was at Pima. And I had to do all my gen eds and I had to do a whole wide range of stuff, right? I did astronomy and English classes and digital design, chemistry, you know, I was all over the place.
Yeah.
Just to fill in whatever I needed to fill in. And I noticed something, right? And what I noticed was gender disparity in all my classes was pretty much like not a thing. Like there was roughly an equal amount of men and women in everything that I was in the sciences, in the humanities, in honors classes, et cetera, except one fucking discipline. Guess which? It was computer science.
Computer sciences, yeah.
They were just like,
yeah.
It's just so extremely hostile to women. The whole thing is insanely hostile to women.
Yeah,
and
it's a perfect storm of problems there. Like you've got these computer geeks who are traditionally incel types, you know, definitely tends towards spectrum-y kind of people, right?
Sure.
Like, particularly spectrum-y kind of guys. You know, this girl in the computer class it's gonna be the first fucking girl they ever talk to. And it's gonna be so uncomfortable for her that it's just not worth it. She will go into
it's just right. So there's a territorialism to it. There's an identity to
there's
it.
The old geeky in crowd shit that happens even among the best intentioned of nerds.
Yes.
That's really hostile to anyone outside of that. And they don't even know it, you know. And they spent their whole life getting shit on, so they don't care if it's hostile. It's
well, I don't know that they have, because I think the dynamic has changed since we were young, right? Because like you were saying, back then, if we said, oh, it's all going to be video games, no one would fucking believe it. They live in a world now where that's true, right? So
Yeah.
there, so ironically, the nerds are the jocks now. The nerds are the fucking status quo
Oh,
motherfuckers.
God,
Right?
it's
weird, but it's true. It's absolutely true. And so like they know they've got the privileged position and they flaunt that, right? And they use that. And so, you know, it's not, of course, obviously, it's not that like women can't do this, right? Because if that were true, you'd see a wider disparity in all the other disciplines as well, right? You would see women dropping out of chemistry, dropping out of astronomy, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
That's not the case. Like, it's just this one fucking thing.
Yeah.
So,
And it's,
you know,
yeah, it's not that they're incapable. That is absolutely not the problem. It's that, but see, we've crossed over though, right? So the woman that wants to get into game design now has to face the same problems as the kids you were talking about that want to get into game design. Is like she can get this tool too that I'm using,
right.
and sit at home and drink tea and make her game, which would look completely different from mine, right?
Sure.
Like, it's going to have a whole, like, it's amazing when you go to the game arcade that's connected to this and you see what people make. Every one is different, even though it's all the same game.
Oh yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah, it's all
They're
like
so different. The feel, the look, the objectives, the art style, like all that kind of stuff. So, you know, I think if a girl, because what I'm going to do with this is use it as part of my portfolio. So
right.
if I apply to work for a game studio, I'm going to give them a link to this. Be like, I built this whole fucking thing. Yes, with Bloxels, you can, you know, see what that is. But I did all the art, all the design, all like
right.
storyline, all that kind of stuff. And
everything with the literal code, in other words.
everything but the code, which at this point is redundant. We've figured out the code.
Right. Yeah. That's why,
you know, like,
I mean,
yeah.
game engines exist to make that easier. And
Yeah.
in-house developers have in-house game engines.
Totally.
So you don't have to reinvent the wheel, basically.
Totally.
So this is just a microcosm of that, essentially.
Yes, absolutely. So, you know, and especially since this is accessible to kids, I mean, and they really push it for kids. There's an EDU version of it that lets you have teams with access to the same graphics library.
That's neat.
Yeah, no shit. I actually kind of want to just pay for that so that I can bring my people in. Be like, okay, write dialogue for all the NPCs, you know, like do your thing, whatever you do well. You know, if you can make this puzzle better, you played more of these platformers than me, jump in and do it, you know, like, so 3 people or 2 people could, you know, actually work on the same project. But also all these assets that I'm making are exportable. So I could upload them to Itch.io or something, itch.io, and sell the pixel art. So it's not like it's just.
Or you could import it into a different engine.
Yeah.
Remake the same game in that engine.
Yeah. Because there's the
put that on that
engine
well.
for. There's a platformer engine that works within Unity called Corgi. That's killer. Like inventory systems, you know, swappable weapons, ammo, like lots of, you know, parallax scrolling, like all these extra fancy things. I could see myself upgrading. You know, I called this one Wizard Quest 4 as if there have been 3 before it. Like that's just part of the trope. But, you know, go back and make the others in a different engine. There's a whole lot of potential there. One of the problems is balancing the bad guys, because it's like how much power can I give this dude? You know, if the flies are 1 heart, this guy has 9, and so the bad guys should be evenly spaced back from that, between the flies and him. First enemy you find in the last.
Sure.
But yeah, it's bullet hell by the time you get here anyway, so I don't think it really matters. But there should be something in here that gives you a breather, and then you should feel a reward, which flight would be great. Like if he could like walk out onto a platform, finally get his hat, like that would be what lets him fly. So he gets the wizard hat.
You know what would be hilarious is to give him the flight power at the literal end of the game. So he just has to fly. Like the only thing it does is he flies up to like the final goblin, and that's it.
Yeah.
That the game ends there. So
Yes.
like, yes, you're overpowered, but it's way too late to matter.
It's just you get to fly.
You got to fly. Congrats.
Up to the end. You didn't shoot anyone while you were flying. It was just this like
right
drifty little thing. Yeah, that's how it should be. A laugh after all that, because that skull's the worst you're gonna get unless you just make an impossible maze of bad guys. I don't know. It's redundant at that point. After you've run through that gauntlet that's at the end there, what the fuck? You're gonna make it crazier than that? I don't know.
Right.
Not for this kind of game. So yeah, I think that would work great. Like, and even make some real nice art for the end here, like as if there's sort of a
right, yeah, like do like something really cool while
like a
flying.
goblin out, like where the goblins really live in their little clubhouse, and just fill it with artwork that doesn't do anything
or
or
just
mean
fill it with a ton of goblins that have like weird dialogue, and it's
Yeah.
fun to just talk to them all. Like it's
yeah,
a
like
breather.
a little town. It's their little
Like the reward is the experience of like doing all
yes.
that after
Yeah.
you've got through the actual game.
The idea would be that all these other goblins, because I was trying to make like a little socialist message, like your job isn't to collect treasure so much as to liberate his brothers from their self-appointed task of guarding treasure. Like that top goblin is just like, look, please go down and like free my brothers from their
Right.
group. They're all stuck in the monkey fist trap, And so you could get to the end and they could all be in a like sort of like a pool, hang out, lounging around,
Right.
diving, swimming, having fun. Like you've actually done that. You've liberated them. And they all have some kind of thanks, like grudging thank yous for you. And they give you your hat. And you fly up to the quote unquote heaven. Yeah, that would be a cool way to do it. I think about it before I go to sleep. And I tend to dream a little bit about it. Like I stay in that mindset. And then I've got the news story part the next day because I worked through it. So I'll think about that tonight.
Yeah,
It should-
like
yeah,
if
Could be a
flying
payoff.
if flying makes you overpowered, make that irrelevant.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Find some way to like make the flying not overpowered. Like
That's
you can
right,
fly,
yeah.
but who cares?
You cut off the benefit of it. Yeah.
Or not even cut it off, just mitigate it in a way. Like you can't get up to see all this cool shit at the top until you can fly. But
Right.
that's
Yeah.
it. Like
Right.
that's the whole deal.
Yeah, so you'd have to get up to their floating lounge.
Right.
Maybe they
Which is
could have like a little airship or something up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be awesome because you have the space over here, right? Like you could just go up and put the airship way above the whole thing.
Correct.
and block off everything under it, so there's no real way to fly down there.
Right, and to the side, so you can't go back to the beginning of the game or whatever. So you can't break the game, basically.
Yeah, I was going to ask you what you thought about that, because there are a couple places that, like you could conceive of, like when you get here, you could just go off that edge, and then you've broken the game, like you just said. Like, actually,
Right.
That needs background art behind these things. That shouldn't happen, right? Like there shouldn't really
Right,
be
because gamers will do that. They will just assume that's maybe the way to go.
right.
Some people's brains will just go, that's the next step, and now you've done that. So yeah, you got to figure out a way to like make that impossible.
Yeah. The fire pits kind of tell you not to, like when you lay fire across, but that would block it off. I can just put a wall up. I mean, that's the simplest. Can't really get over that. And it's a ruin, so it kind of makes sense that there's just walls and shit everywhere. Yeah. A lot of art assets by the time you get into all this shit. Did I lose you?
I was muted that whole time, didn't realize it. Sorry, I was like talking the whole fucking time.
Oh yeah, I didn't hear you. What did you say?
I was saying, what you could do is like put this wall there, right?
Uh-huh.
But leave a little space on the other side of it, so that if he jumps up there, you just get like the tiniest glimpse of like the airship in the upper right corner.
Yeah.
Like you can see it, right?
Yeah.
Like vaguely see it in that one spot in the upper right, right? Right. So like right there, even if he double jumps, maybe. I don't know if he has the shoes at that point. But then like that's a teaser, right?
Just a little hint, and you have enough space like that. The floating airship could be right in here. It doesn't have to be way up.
Right. You would still require flying for that.
Yeah, to get up there, and it would be a real short trip. So your flight is just like 120 feet, which is something. I mean, it's not.
I mean, you can't jump 120 feet. That's pretty awesome.
That's correct. Yep.
I always wanted to make a comic book character who could fly, but like he could only fly like 15 feet off the ground and like 6 miles per hour max speed. So like technically he's super powered because normal human beings can't do that.
Yeah.
But like by any other definition, he's like by any superhero definition, he's just garbage. He can't do anything.
Yeah. That's a fun way to subvert it. I've definitely been trying to just subvert all of it with every step in this. Just if there's some kind of trope that I can turn on its head, I'm going to do it. Just because you can. Like, and why do exactly what's in regular fantasy games or whatever?
That's my tendency as well. One of the great things about our Pathfinder game was that we like did that all the time. Like one of the questions that Rebecca asked when she joined the game, and by the way, I'm so fucking glad that like I got to introduce Rebecca to Dungeons and Dragons before she died because she was amazing.
I'll bet.
Yeah, she just would do all kinds of crazy shit. But one of the questions she always asked whenever we were watching like fantasy shows like Game of Thrones or whatever, is like, why do they always have like English accents? Like, this is supposed to be a different planet, right? Like, this isn't Earth. This is another planet. There's no reason they couldn't have like a South Jersey accent, right?
Well,
like, hey, give me the fucking sword. I'm the king, you know, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And so we played with that in the game, and we like, my rat folk had a Philly accent. Her elf had a deep South accent.
Yeah.
So Southern elves.
Sure.
Y'all would have liked that spell I cast.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd fuck around with the tropes a lot, and it was a lot of fun. And it makes it truly a different world too, right? Like, you have the fantasy world, which is the Lord of the Rings trope, which everything since Tolkien has aped. But then, like, okay, but if you really want something that's different, if you really want a fantasy, then you get away from that. That's the natural thing you should do. You can incorporate some of those ideas. They're not bad ideas, but just doing it straight is very boring to me and very predictable, and I don't.
Yeah.
And I don't often enjoy it.
Yeah, it's a little bit tired. You've already played that game, you know. Like, it's like going back and playing World of Warcraft. It's just impossible for me. I've already played it. There's nothing I haven't experienced. Maybe some shit or whatever. You know, there's the high level stuff. You know, whatever dynamics they've added to it, whatever. But
honestly, that's not any.
Come on, no, it's not.
Like, I've stuck with it longer than you did, and I can tell you, like, I played up until like Battle for Azeroth, and it's nothing, man. Like, you're not missing anything. It's the same shit, different day.
You had the experience, and it was grand. It's like Christmas. It's like I've done it so many times. There's nothing new for me in Christmas, unless I have a kid, right? And then I get to start all over again, and I have a new experience with Christmas.
That was when Rebecca and I started our own sort of Christmas traditions. That was like, you know, the point of it was not to do Christmas. The point of it was to do something that would be cool for us, and so we could like fuck around with the trope, right? We fuck around with the Christmas trope. And so every Christmas I would start off the same way. I would cook this traditional East Coast breakfast of toad in a hole and scrapple. And that would just be the breakfast we had every Christmas, even though that has nothing to do with Christmas. That's just like breakfast I had as a kid, and I introduced it to her and she loved it. And so we had our Christmas breakfast. And then every year while I'm cooking that, I play Michael Jackson's Thriller.
Yeah.
And she asked me, like, why do you play Thriller? I say, because it's the greatest Christmas song. And she said, how do you figure it's the greatest Christmas song? I said, well, it's the greatest song, so by definition it's the greatest Christmas song. So then that became a tradition. This dumb joke, stupid fucking joke that I made just became a regular every year. I got
because
the
it's
Thriller
the greatest
now.
song ever recorded. It thereby wins all the greatest.
Yes, it's also
award.
the greatest Easter song.
Yes, the greatest birthday song,
the greatest country and western song,
the greatest song to get laid to,
etc.
Yeah. That was hard to argue with that one.
So that became a thing every year, right?
It's self-evident. Yeah. Oh my God. Fuck.
And we did this thing where we would watch a double feature of movies. One she would pick and one I would pick, and they had to be like not necessarily Christmas movies, but tangentially related to Christmas in some way. So, like, for example, the first year we did it, she chose The Ref and I chose Lethal Weapon.
Oh.
And it was a fucking awesome double feature. Both of them happened during Christmas, so that it was perfectly valid.
Yep.
So that was and like we're doing Christmas shit, right? Sort of, kind of.
Yeah.
But we're doing it in a way that's remixing it and remixing the trope. And that's what made it fun for us, and it's what made me like look forward to Christmas again, ironically.
Yeah. Yeah.
I couldn't do a traditional Christmas. I couldn't do like, oh, let's have presents and a ham and everyone wears sweaters and all that, bullshit.
No.
Whatever. I don't care about that. We didn't even buy each other presents on Christmas, honestly.
Right, because what do you need that you don't have? Like, by definition, you're gonna get everything you want. What does she need that she doesn't have?
And like, why do we need a special day for that when we could just Amazon anything at any time? That's not special anymore.
All these things are products of a different time. They make sense in their own time, but like Dungeons and Dragons, it makes sense that it would take months because you live in fucking Michigan where it rains and it snows for months, and you sit inside with the same group of friends and they never move.
And it's the 80s and there's no internet and there's no fucking rapid transit. Like you're stuck with these assholes in your trailer park in Montana. You got nothing else to do.
It makes perfect sense in that structure.
Right.
And people have the, right now, my God, how lucky would I be to get 10 minutes of someone's time to play this game?
Sure.
It's what they call the attention economy.
But also like D&D and related tabletop games are having a renaissance now too, because they've adapted to these new situations. Now there's stuff like Roll20, right? Where people basically do what we're doing now. They have like a Zoom meeting and they play online with one another. And so like you can still have that time set aside. You can still have that period, and you can still have that same group. But now you can play with somebody in like fucking Saskatchewan and New Delhi and London and wherever, right? Like, so that's cool. And that remixed that trope in a way and made it more current and more interesting.
And if someone quits your group, well, you replace them with someone in Croatia.
Right.
And hand over the previous.
Plenty of other characters waiting. Plenty of other people looking for games, right? Whereas, so it's better in a way, in that way, because like if you've got 6 people in, Nottingham, PA or whatever, and one of them quits, that's it. We're done.
Yeah.
There's no replacement. There's no backup players. And
there might be hard feelings and a bad association now, like in your mind with that thing. Like, and honestly, all of this stuff aside, I find like what I'm doing now is more fun than any game I've ever played. By far.
Yeah.
Like I enjoy this shit, even if it's tedious, much more than.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
To me, it is a game. It's a game. Can you make a game? That's the game.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like it's meta. It's exactly the same. It's the carrot and stick. Well, if I spend 10 more minutes, I'm going to have this dope bad guy. Those little ghosts. I'm proud of those little fuckers. They look awesome. For 16 pixels, they look killer. The goblins look killer.
I agree entirely.
Gamifying it and making it like, well, what can I pack into that tiny little space? Only got 8 colors and 16 pixels tall and wide. How far can you push that? Use every little you can see in that skeleton dude. Every fucking bit that I can use it's packed in there. And also make it look natural. Don't let it look too shitty.
Right, and make everything look cohesive with everything else.
Yeah, right. So all that stuff, god damn, I don't. There's no RPG I can play that pushes those buttons for me.
Sure. Yeah, I find I'm similar. Making a thing is much more interesting to me than playing a thing.
Yeah.
I took a digital humanities class my last semester of undergrad, and I ended up making like 3 video games that semester because I made one I had 2 projects for that class. I did a visual novel and I did a text adventure. And then another class, I opted to make a video game for another project. So I ended up making like 3 video games that semester. And it was like the process of like figuring all that out and like figuring out like the best way to like, well, how do I randomize this? How do I make this interface natural and learnable in game for the player, et cetera, all that stuff was like really cool, sort of problem solving. And it is a game. It is a game to like figure that out. And I made a fantastic fucking text adventure that I'm super proud of, called Paradise Moon, which is like probably one of the coolest things I've ever made. And I'm just, there's no graphics. It's all text and it's made in Twine.
Is it online or available to play?
Yeah, I could give it to you. I can give you a link to it. I'll do that in the Discord. But it's like I made like a lot of deliberate choices with this. Like in that class we studied different kinds of game design methodologies, right? And so you have stuff like the gauntlet, where like there's a single path that you have to run, and if you deviate from the path, you die. You have games that are the branch and bottleneck, right, where you have a number of paths that branch out, right, and possibilities, but then eventually they come back to the same goal, right? And maybe the branching is extraneous and doesn't matter, but maybe it also affects gameplay down the road as well. Then you have things like open world design, where you can just go wherever and do whatever, and so on. So I made 3 deliberate structures to this game, where the first part is a gauntlet, the second part is a branch and bottleneck, and the third part is an open world game.
Interesting.
And if you look at it like in Twine, and you look at like the way the game layout is structured, it looks crazy. It looks like one of Geordie LaForge's screens from Engineering. It's wild. Yeah. But that was so much fun to do, and it was a challenge, right? It was a challenge for me to go, oh, okay, here's how this works. Here's what I do to combine all these ideas and to prove that I can like do all these different kinds of methods.
Yes.
Anyway.
And it's proof of concept. It actually does work.
Yes. And also there's replay value to the game, because what happens is once you get through the first section, which is the most brutal section, where you can like die horribly in a number of ways, you get to the second section, which is this like really weird abstract shit, where it's like a weird sort of like tarot card like interface. But what card you get determines your goals for the game, and that's not really explicit the first time you play it. You can sort of figure that out. But then, like, once you're through it and you play that game through, you go, hey, wait a minute, what if I got a different card? Would it be a different gameplay experience? And in fact, yes, there's 4 different possible goals sets that you could have.
Yeah.
And 4 different endings. And so
it's a choose your own adventure in a sense. It's
right. But it's also a choose your own adventure. Right?
Yeah.
Because in that one part, you're choosing what the adventure you're going to go on is, and then in the second part, you're figuring it out.
Oh, that's neat.
So it's super meta in that way.
Yeah, that's neat.
Yeah, let me find that and post that in the chat for you, so you can check it out later.
Yeah.
And by the way, it's like all point and click. You don't have to like type anything. So like it's not like old school like Zork style where you have to like figure out the exact combination of words.
Right. That was always
the most annoying part of those games.
Yeah.
But this is not that. This is much nicer.
I love how these spiders can get caught on top of the blocks.
Yeah.
It's actually fucking cool. Like it's because they eventually get off. They also get caught in the webbing and they climb up, which is just crazy. it's exactly the behavior you'd want, you know? Like,
Right, that's what a spider does.
yeah, it's exactly what they do. And it's like, it freaked me out the first time it happened. I was like, what the fuck? It climbed up there. It, you know, it was almost like it was programmed to do that.
Right, but it was just emergent behavior that
Yeah,
that
it's just
happened.
it's like,
That's
yeah,
really cool.
he hits water, he's gonna go up, you know, to the surface. So and I want to finish this one so that I can jump back into the other two, because I've got the little robot one as well, and then I've got the one with Damon, and I want to use like
Right.
shit that I've learned in this to pad those out and really make the stories different. You know, make it on purpose, not the same goals as this. You know, like he won't transform. Like your robot is the robot. He always looks exactly the same. Like, you know, maybe he gets different abilities, but he's not going to change his form like the wizard does. The wizard's going to go through 5 costume changes over the course of the game. Like, I'm not doing that again. Damon is staying exactly the same the whole time. Although I figured I should show you this.
Damon should definitely never power up.
He doesn't. I don't think he does. But what he does is get smaller in a way, and it makes it feel as though the camera zoomed back. And everything's scaled out.
That's
It's
neat.
it's a crazy kind of feeling. I haven't played this one in a while. He starts out full Damon size, right? And he can even carry his pirate flag. Fucking bees. I haven't played this. This is the first one I tried.
I don't
Bees.
understand anything that's going on, and
No, it's just insane. That's the whole point. Is it's all like the cassette tape is a pickup. There's bees everywhere. There's these hay sharks.
Hey, sharks!
You see them?
Amazing.
Yeah. You see how I did that, right? Like it's 2 bad guys mirrored.
Yes.
So now the sharks are down at the bottom of this too. Gotta swim through the Delaware River. It's just insane. And the way they do bigger characters is there's 3 sizes that you can be, but they just scale up the pixels. Right? It's there's more pixels. He's just in pure video.
Was that grape soda?
Yeah, it's great soda power. You know, it might not make the I must have gotten rid of some assets. Art after the purple blood. Fuck.
Man, I couldn't even hear a single word you were saying.
Oh,
That
it's just.
shit was so loud.
Oh, sorry. I could turn that down. No, the grape soda
Just frenetic.
is funny as shit. But one of these bad guys, it was just like a purple block. It used to have an art asset. The fuck? These maybe? Yeah, this is obviously not as refined as the others. I think you're muted again.
I am, but I'm not saying anything right now.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah. This
No,
one's
I was linking Paradise Moon in the Discord, so you can check it out later.
cool. Yeah, with this one, you have to get enough parts to build or to repair your ship. While guided by a fucked up AI.
Yeah, the Wizard game seems like the best developed of the three.
Yeah, absolutely. I spent the most time on that. This one can be padded out to be as good.
Yeah, this one's much more straightforward, and
Yeah.
the Damon game is just nuts. I mean, I don't think that's wrong for the Damon game. I think it's like, if anything, it should be as nuts as possible and as orienting as possible.
That's what I was going for, and then I was like, I don't have the skills yet with the game engine to make this what it needs to be. So that's why I started the others. It was almost like the Wizard one was just going to be a throwaway, but then it like developed out.
Right.
But yeah, and now I know how to do it. You know, like stuff like the cobweb can be anything. It can be smoke off a joint. You know,
right.
He can fly through the smoke. You know, and he would even transform into a, with butterfly wings or some shit. Like, why not? You can literally do anything you think of if you take the time to work it all out.
Right. Hey, I got some reading to do for tomorrow, so I got to get going here. I wanted to hang out with you for a while and like check this out though, since I missed last time.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
So I did stream this to YouTube. I might just leave it up for a while.
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay. I don't think we said anything too offensive.
No, I was.
You're conscious of that the whole time. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Good.
Yes, I have been in meetings before, so I know how this goes.
I mean, I don't care.
I'm a little more lax here, obviously, than I would be in some stupid writing program meeting about
I'm braver than
or whatever.
Any Trumper, because I'll say fuck Joe Biden straight in my
right.
So, yeah. So, all right, we'll do it again, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I'll talk to you soon. What's up, buddy? All right, we'll wrap it up. Thanks for joining us if you did.